Hello and welcome to Woo Wednesdays. I am your hostess with the mostest, Mojo Medium, aka Susan Morrow Johnson. You will find me on the web at mojomedium.com because that's how I roll. I am also on a lot of social media as at the Mojo Medium. So you can always find me. You can message me. You can email me at mojomedium@gmail.com. And what is it that I do and what are we here for? You might can tell that I'm in a great mood this morning. I had a really cool experience yesterday that I'll tell you about in a minute. I am I am leading the next generation of spiritual leaders to help humanity rise into a new paradigm. How about that? All right, so I'm very excited about a lot of stuff right now, but let's get started with a good news only fortune telling card. These are cards that I was influenced, guided to create. Sorry, this one says good food. I meant to hold up the one that says good news, but good food is good news. So good news only fortune telling cards. And each card is, as you just saw, a word or phrase that can only be good news. And the reason I created these is that anytime I would tell someone I was a psychic medium, which I am, by the way, they would say, oh my gosh, what terrible thing do I need to look out for? What bad thing do I need to prepare for? What horrible thing is about to befall me? And I just thought, we all need to be looking for the good. We need to strengthen our look for the good muscle. And so I wish I had a little graphic that I could put up here because I've got a brain with like strong arms, and I think that's really cute. Anyway, so we need to strengthen our good look for the good muscle because when you look for bad, guess what? That's what you find. Same with looking for the good. And so our brains automatically look for danger all the time to keep us safe, keep us alive, because every living organism has one main goal, which is to survive long enough to reproduce, pass on its DNA. Ta-da! So we got a little bit of science, a little brain science going on. We got a little bit of woo going on. So to the cards, to the readings, you understand why you need the good news to look forward to, right? Anticipation, eager anticipation, happy anticipation actually releases dopamine in the brain. Oh my gosh, and we know that's a feel good hormone. Okay, I'm going to shuffle this deck 3 times. I'm going to pull you a card. Now, if you have your own deck at home, and you can get one if you want to, you can pull a card anytime you like. Set it next to the bed, next to your toothbrush, on your desk at work. Pull the card anytime you like, and then I think I did it 4 times. Oh well. And then see what it means to you. See how it guides your day, or what happens that kind of fits in with that. But the point is to look forward to something. Okay. So when I pull a card for you, as I'm doing right this minute, I like to give you my own psychic take on it to help you narrow it down. Okay. All right. So today is work you love. Yes. Amen. 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 I tell you what, aside, let's see, besides relief, which I think relief is a wonderful feeling, whether it's relief from pain or, psychic pain, emotional pain, physical pain, or relief from worry about relief from a money problem, relief from debt, relief from fear. I mean, relief is just one of those feelings that, if you haven't been feeling great, relief is good. But after that, work you love is one of the best feelings in the world. Work you love, getting to do work you love. And this is so timely right now because I am about to start a group of future spiritual guides. So this is perfect for me and maybe for you too. Okay, so work you love. It is exactly that. I will say that now this would not be apply to me because I don't like it, but I am tapping into the card feeling like it has to do with yard work, which I think is really funny. Just like I said, I don't like it. But if you do like yard work or gardening, there may be some of that in the near future. And it might be unexpected. I mean, a lot of times these good news is to look for, the good things to look for are things that you thought weren't going to happen. For example, you may be completely snowed in right now. There's absolutely no way you're going to get to do any gardening this week. But Mother Nature might surprise you. So look forward to doing work that you love. All right, let's get into the nitty and the gritty. For one thing, I want to announce not only that I'm about to start this coaching group, I guess it's called. I'm not sure what to call it, academy maybe, because it will be learning and it will be support and discussion and growth and maybe academy. I don't know. So not only that, but also I'm starting a new feature. As you may know, if you've been following me for a while, I recently started channeling. I think it's called live channeling or awake channeling or conscious channeling. And I got the call to do it now on Wednesdays, which will be the first one will be next week. And then from here out indefinitely, it'll be the third Wednesday of each month. We will be channeling. So this is going to be very, very cool. I don't expect to channel for a whole hour. It may be 10, 15 minutes. I don't know. We're just going to go with what goes. We're going to go with the flow, which, by the way, flow is my word and theme for the year. And in fact, give me one sec. Flow with money and purpose, which I think is a very, very cool word or theme. Now, if you haven't chosen a word or theme for your year, you don't usually do that. I would like to help you do that today. So let me make a note of that. Word worksheet. And we'll go through that in a little bit. But first, I want to answer a question posed to me by our friend Candy here. And she asked me this great question, which I forgot to answer on Woo Wednesdays, but then later I answered her personally. So now I'm going to bring this answer to you. Okay. Her question was, in what ways did it change your life or your experience when you embraced your woo-bilities, as I am wont to call them, your psychic abilities, when you recognized you were a medium, all of these sort of things? And I think it's a really good question um, because right now a lot of people are recognizing that they have abilities and they're feeling drawn to bring them out and use them in service, which is wonderful because that's what they're for. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? You have said all your life, I just want to help people. Ta-da! So the best way to help people is to figure out what you love to do and do it. Do it in service to others. And so that's the very simplified version of destiny coaching that I do. But that's what you got to do. So how did it change my life? Okay. It did make changes. Now, I've always been very into woo and magic and psychic stuff and spirits, all this stuff is always fascinating to me since I was very young. But I nonetheless grew up really, quote, like normal and maybe with more than my fair share of privilege, although not as many, it's not as much as some. I grew up in a small East Texas town. I was white. My parents were married. I always felt safe and loved, and I had everything I needed, most of what I wanted. I mean, yeah, I was privileged, but it was also real normal. And I didn't feel like I was weird in any way. And when I say normal, um, so I didn't feel weird, even when I had spontaneous out of body experiences. When I told my mom that I felt like I was being watched and like there were people around me and that I would see strangers' faces in my head, she said, "Oh, you just have such a wonderful imagination. And isn't that great quality?" And kind of grew up thinking all creative people had similar experiences to mine. I just didn't think that it was anything. It was much later that I found out that the spontaneous out of body experiences, especially, are really indicative of psychic ability. But also, I found out much later that the faces in my head and the people I felt around me were spirits of people who had passed, and they knew that I could feel them and sense them, and so they were going to try to communicate through me. And so anyway, with all of that going on, I just followed the normal, white middle America path. I went to college. I hated it. I dropped out of college. I got a job in an office, and I wound up in property management. And first I was in multifamily, and then I was in commercial and a little bit of light industrial, and also facilities management, which I loved. I love doing all that. So I just had like all this normal stuff going on without giving my whole story about how I came to be this. When I recognized it, and it was because I had a lot more exposure to it and had met people who knew what they were doing, and I started really feeling and knowing, okay, so when I started to give readings, I wasn't even ready to say psychic readings. I called them energy readings. And I'm playing with I've got a little pendulum here. Carmelite, Caroline, Carnelian. Ta-da, I got it. So I would give energy readings. It was because I had read Caroline Myss. I had learned about the chakras and medical intuition, and I could visualize those chakras, and they presented specific images to me. And so I would, go through those with the client, tell them what that meant about their past, present, future, yada, yada. And they were exhausting. But I didn't say I was a psychic medium. And when I found out I was a medium, during one of those readings, that was when I said, okay, I'm a psychic medium. And I started telling people I'm a psychic medium. So the first time I was at a networking group, and I met a new lady, and she said, what do you do? And I said, I'm a psychic medium. And so that was my first coming out, right? And so yeah, it was a little bit of a little exposure there, a little bit of vulnerability for sure. And she responded so positively. It really helped me a lot. I think if my first experience of telling somebody I was a psychic medium had gone badly, I might have pulled back for a while, might have just hidden and like just occasionally, I can give you a reading. So there I was, and she responded very positively. She's like, oh, that's so cool. How do you do that? What's it like? And that was great. But then a networking friend of mine called me up after I had announced it to the world, to the group and everything, called me up, and he said, listen, I'm really concerned about this because people are going to think you're crazy and you should go back to what you were doing. And I was just like, too late, too bad, too sad for you, baby. It sucks to suck, right? So I explained to him, I was like, this is my calling. This is what I'm here to do, and I've got to do it. So I really appreciate your concern for me, but that's how it's going to be. And, this is just an example of a gajillion things where, when somebody says something like that, that is their problem. People are going to think you're crazy. Well, so you think I'm crazy, and that makes you uncomfortable. I don't care. How does that affect my desired calling and ability to help other people in the way that I came here to do it? Right? Okay. Now then, here's where we get to the sticky part. I was still a little bit quiet about it in certain circles, certainly with my family. I told my dad, and he thought it was cool. He listened to me on the radio and was just really amazed by my readings and my medical intuitive and all this stuff. He was very supportive, and but I didn't tell my mom or my sister. I didn't think they would take it well. And sure enough, after a couple of years, gosh, I don't know if I can really expose all of this, but anyway, they found out after a couple of years. Let's just put it that way. And no, they didn't respond very well. They were like, what? and so I went back to just not presenting it to them, and that was 20 years ago, so over the years, it's become, it's become normalized in the family. And so that's fine. But even my dad in those early days didn't tell a lot of people that he knew what I did, not because he was ashamed, but because he knew that they wouldn't understand. So he would tell people that he knew would understand, but not the ones who wouldn't. And so, it's a little tricky. Now, I'll tell you what I told the guy who said people are going to think you're crazy. If you, gosh, I got on too much lipstick. If you, I told him if I said, hey, I'm really called to be a doctor, I'm going to go to medical school, and yeah, it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of hard work, but this is what I got to do. I mean, for my sister who is a doctor and she's religious, She said that God told her to be a doctor. And that was how she landed in an amazing long career of medicine and science. So if I said that to this guy or to somebody who thought I was crazy, would they say, oh, don't do that? You're crazy. Don't do that. It's going to cost too much time and money. And people will just think you're crazy because you're giving up your job as a waitress to go and be, a doctor. And I would be just like, what would you say? Be like, whatever, dude, you know, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. So that 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 is all of it. It is, I mean, that is always there. However, I will say this, for a long time, I did have a shyness about it. I mean, for years, I had a shyness and some shame about it. So if I got trolled on Quora, which I've answered a lot of questions on Quora, I would engage. I'd get into a flame war with these trolls, and I'd be so mad and so upset. And then as I sort of like healed with some of this, then it got to where the trolls made me laugh. And so I would just come back at them with like the worst stuff that I could think of that would, just to piss them off. I just played with them. And then I got to where I didn't care at all. It didn't make any difference to me. And I don't get trolled anymore. How about that? And so now I'm very much like out. I mean, for years, I went to dinner with my mom several years ago, maybe 10 years ago. And it was with some of her friends, and we were going out to a little event. And so when one of them asked me what I did, I said, oh, I'm a writer. And she said, what do you write? Oh, I do a lot of copywriting for marketing and websites and, working on a novel and a nonfiction self-help book, which was all true. Well, I hadn't done copywriting for a while. It was all true, but it was just this little, it's this little mask that I wore for a long time. Now I don't do it anymore. Now I'm like, and it's a partly product of age, definitely. I mean, when you're as old as I am, you really just don't give a fuck. It's like, oh, you think I'm weird? That's fine. I like being weird. I actually do. I mean, look at my hair. I have tattoos. I like to be weird. Um, and I know I just look like a Baptist drag queen. I know. No offense to drag queens whom I love, but that's all I can do. Anyway, so the point is that it's partly a product of age, but it's also partly a product of time and experience and healing the fears and shame within me. When I was talking to my therapist a few years ago, and I said, I just don't, yeah, the trolls don't bother me anymore, and I'm not getting any trolls because I don't care, And she goes, I think you got tired of running from the shame. What? So I think that's a really good lesson for everybody to think of, am I running from shame? And I think we all are. If you read or listen to any Brene Brown, she talks a good bit about shame. And, we have and here we go back to brain science and the sociology. We all have the need. Oh, look, a kitty. I'm so easily distracted. Me and my ADHD. That's a pretty kitty. Um, So we all have a need to connect. We have a need to belong. And that's biologically, evolutionarily, that was because early humans didn't survive long by themselves, especially women. And so we were naturally drawn together because of the need to survive. As I mentioned before, our goal is to survive until long enough to reproduce and pass on our DNA. And that's the name of that too. So so with our need to connect and our need to belong, we naturally have what am I trying to say? We have a concern for being left out or for being thought of as different and ostracized because early humans, again, if they were kicked out of the tribe, then bye, good luck, So now what happens is shame. So guilt is I did something bad. Shame is I am something bad. So shame comes up when you feel like there's something about me that if people knew it, they wouldn't like me, they wouldn't accept me, they wouldn't include me. And so when my therapist said, I think you got tired of running the shame, I think she's right. I think there was that. I mean, this is the weirdest thing I could be. There are weirder people than I, certainly, but I'm as weird as I can be. And so to be concerned about being left out makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. So, Candy, was that a more thorough answer than you could have dreamed of? I shared a lot on that. So, okay. So, by the way, my mom and my sister never stopped loving me. They always did. They always did. Doesn't matter about that. I come from a loving family, and I'm very grateful for that. Not everyone has it so good, right? Okay, moving on to the other thing I said was talk about the word worksheet. Yes. So here is my cup from Galveston Island. Last time we went down to Galveston, my husband and I, before we moved, we lived about 25 miles from Galveston, maybe 20. And we didn't go down there nearly as often as we probably should have, but we went down there to ride the ferry to Bolivar one more time, walk on the beach one more time before we moved to Illinois, and to go to our favorite shops and stuff like that. So we went into my favorite surf shop, and it's been there for over 100 years. It's actually stood the test of time. It withstood all the hurricanes since then and all that. Anyway, so I got this beautiful mug to remember my beloved Galveston. I have others. I have t-shirts, I have hats, but I wanted a special mug for the move. Okay. And I might sip out of it. Let's pull up that word worksheet. Let me pull that up on my computer, and then I can share it with you. And that way you'll be able to, in the replay, you can pause it, write down the questions and so forth. Give me just a momentito. Here we go, word worksheet. Word worksheet 2025. Yeah. Okay, open that up. And we'll come in here and we will share like here. There we go. Okay, now, so the purpose of the word or theme for your year is to kind of set the tone, make a touchstone for yourself for the year. You can do this anytime. I always do it at New Year's, but I give myself permission to come back and do it again if I feel so inspired or guided to do so. Okay, so you want a word or theme that's going to maybe inspire you, guide you, remind you. I like that. Like, I think I said that my word is, did I tell you already? It's flow, flow in love and money, or money and whatever it is. I haven't memorized it, but I've got it on my desktop. And you can do that. You can put it on your desktop, you can put it on the wall, whatever you want to do. Make it pretty graphic if you're that kind of person, or just write it somewhere. So that's the purpose of that. New Year's resolutions suck. They don't work. They make you feel guilty. So let's do this instead. Okay. So you want to do a little moment for this. Get to where you can be quiet and take some breaths, call in the powers that be, and then answer these questions. What needs healing in my life right now? Let's see here. Let's make it big. Sorry, I don't know what I'm trying to do. Okay, so what needs healing in my life right now? Maybe you've just discovered that you need to heal some shame. I don't know. What else needs healing? And anything can need healing. I mean, anything that you feel like is kind of broken. Maybe your relationship with money. That's a big one for most of us. Not everybody. And I'm so envious of those people. Maybe your relationship with somebody else is broken. Maybe you have grief, sorrow, pain that needs healing. And so I'm really looking more for than, intangible kinds of healing rather than physical stuff. Because if you've got a broken leg, well, that's going to heal. Put that down. Okay. And I'm going to go on through it and kind of talk through it, but you can come back and answer these questions. What did I want to be, do, and or have in 2024 that I did not be, do, and or have? So, you know, you may have done this last year, what was on your list for what you wanted. And, or you may have just had something in mind or uh, a list of things that you really would like. Or maybe you have a running wish list like I do, you know, oh, prosperity, healthy weight loss, um, true love, you know, more money, all those kinds of things, good relationships, good experiences, traveling, you know, whatever that is. So what was it that you wanted to do in 2024 and you didn't get to do? All right. Then after that, what did you be do have in 2024 that you enjoyed? And that doesn't have to be something that you had planned on or hoped for, but just things that you did and things that happened and anything good that you really enjoyed. And so you list those things. And then the last one is, what is your wildest dream right now? What is your wildest dream? Like, sky's the limit. What's your wildest dream? Don't go for enough. Please do not go for enough. Go for far more in your wildest dream, because I always say, if you want the moon, shoot for the stars. And then if you fall short, you got what you wanted. But if you don't fall short and you get the stars, then you got the stars and the moon. Okay? Okay. Now then, review those answers when you've got all that done and find the common thread there. Is there a common thread? Common thread of what needs healing, what you're missing, what you did that you enjoyed, and what your wildest dream would. Tie all that together. And then brainstorm. There's a place to brainstorm. I mean, you're going to have your own piece of paper. And then choose your theme with that. Now, this is something, like I said, I used to actually do word worksheet classes every year. And we'd work on it together, you know, and brainstorm together and suss it out. And it was great fun. But I didn't do it this year. And so here you go. Here's your chance. Okay. Now, if you would like to have your own copy of that worksheet, feel free to email me at mojomedium@gmail.com. I'll send it to you with no problem. Okay. All righty. Let's see here. Let's stop sharing and get back to business. Okay. Now then, it is 12:30, so that's good. I still want to draw some angel cards, but first, Candy, since you're here, I'd love to know if you have anything that has come up, either now or earlier, and if there's any questions you have or anything you want to discuss or share that's in the woo world.
Hello.
Hi.
I've just been meditating and listening. I'm getting better at clearing my mind, so that's good.
Good, good. Yeah, practice helps.
It does.
Mhm.
And breathing helps. I didn't put that much importance on it, but it is very important
Oh,
to
it
relax
is.
and breathe.
Mhm.
Um, the other day, I heard one of these real loud noises, like ringing in my ears, like somebody's talking about you. And I
Yeah.
said, I'm just going to be quiet and listen. And I listened to that ringing, and then nothing came of it. So,
I just
but I'm
wonder
going to,
about that, you know, you get like a gong and then you're otherwise deaf in that ear. And it's like, what is that? And I have tinnitus all the time anyway, which I usually don't notice unless we start talking about it, then I can hear it. Um, but that thing is, I'm sure it's just a nerve thing, a brain thing. I don't know. But that's good that you're paying attention. That's what's important, is pay attention.
yeah, anything that's catching my eye, like the full moon.
Yes, 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 that's right. Yes, what I always say is pay attention to what gets your attention, right? Gets your attention, then be like, oh, what's the message here? What is this about? So tell me about the full moon. Did you do anything special with it, or did you feel
Well,
anything from it? What's going on?
I like to take my crystals out in the full moon, and they get
Mhm.
energy from the full moon. So I had cleaned them, running through sage smoke and stuff like that. Just trying to follow what I need to do with the crystals, and I love them. I do think they're wonderful. They're very pretty and they just make me feel good. I don't know why.
And you're really drawn to them, yeah.
I
You have
am.
a rock book, don't you? A crystals book or
Yeah.
something? Yeah, okay. One thing that and I have no idea about any of this stuff, except I did learn this a while back, that salt water, soaking your stones in salt water will like cleanse them. And I would think that putting them in the full moon in the salt water would really kind of empower them. So that's something you might try. And the full moon, even though it has passed, it's, we've still got the energy with it. It doesn't, I mean, the full moon is kind of a culmination kind of thing. You know what? Tell me what you know about the full moon, because I don't know that much. Honestly, I don't know that much about astrology and stuff.
I don't either really. I have a calendar up here that tells me when the full moon is. And I know a couple days prior and a couple days after the full moon, I'm just drawn to the outside to look at it. Um, it
Yeah,
does kind of bring me, uh, it just soothing, just kind of a soothing, peaceful feeling.
that's
Um,
good. That's good. Well, okay. So, like I said, I don't know very much about astrology. I know about this much more than other people. And I do know that the new moon is when you start something, and the full moon is when you conclude something, sort of like that. And it doesn't have to be like, oh, 2 weeks later, I'm going to stop this. It's not that, but the full moon brings culmination and production, if that's the right word. Whereas the new moon is good energy for starting things and making wishes and stuff like that. So I will send you I'll send you my friend, and I'll mention her here, Megan Winkler, MEGANWINKLER.com. And she is the Good Business Witch. So she's a business person, but she knows marketing, but she's also a witch, and she's very she knows a lot of astrology. I think she has two master's degrees. I think she has an MBA and a master's in military history. It's
wow.
like talk about a weird person, and she's just so amazing and wonderful, smart, and interesting, But she does a lot about astrology. She sends out emails with astrological information all the time, and she may have them on her website, information about the full moon and so forth. So I would recommend that you check out her website, and that those in the replay that go check out Megan Winkler. She's somebody good to follow, and you'll get a lot of good information. So, all right then. I think that we will go ahead and do our angel cards, which is the best part of the show. No, not really. Maybe. Remember, next week is Channel Wednesday, and I have to make a new graphic for that because I like making graphics. I'll scratch out Woo and put channel. And I want to invite others to come and channel too if you want to. And I've got another friend who is a channel, and like she's a channeling coach, and she says everybody can do it and that you're doing it all the time. And she's kind of cool. So what is her name? Her name is Denai Novoa. So it's an odd name. DANAYNOVOA. And she's fascinating. And I think it's denaynovoa.com. So, or you can Google her. Very, very interesting. And as I met her shortly after I had this channeling coming up. And so I was like, oh, great, she's an expert. And I went to one of her Q&A sessions and found her really, really interesting. So recommend her as well. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We've got our magical mermaids and dolphins cards. Ooh, from Doreen Virtue. It's my favorite deck. I've been using it for over 20 years. And we're going to do the 3x3. So we'll take 3 deep breaths. I'll shuffle 3 times and draw 3 cards. And so let's get started. We're going to take 3 deep breaths. And while you take those breaths, I want you to focus on this thought. I call on my angels and guides, as well as all those who have my best interests at heart. I'll say that again. I call on my angels and guides, as well as all those who have my best interests at heart. Okay, let's take our 3 deep breaths. Wonderful. All right, I'm going to shuffle the deck 3 times. And while I do, I want you to think of your biggest question or concern right now. We're going to imbue the deck with that idea. And then if you have too many that you can't choose just one concern or question, or if you can't think of anything on the spot, you can use the default question, which is, what do I need to know right now? Okay, so think on that. Alrighty. Now then, I'm going to choose 3 cards. And I'm writing them down. That's why I'm making room for them. I'm going to choose 3 cards, and I want you to think right now, cutting the deck, and you think 1, 2, or 3, and that will be your card. Now then, before I write these down, I want you to know that anytime you are witness to somebody else's reading of any kind, if it resonates with you and it sounds like, oh, yes, that's exactly what I needed, or yeah, that's just like what my grandfather would say, or whatever that is, it is for you. Okay. Don't dismiss it because you didn't choose that number. Okay. I haven't chosen my number yet, so let me choose my number. Okay. If you chose card number 1, this is your card and everybody else's. Protection. You, your loved ones, and your possessions are safe and protected by heaven. This feels like you have always kind of had a little bit of just a sort of like a rumbling low fear of physical danger. And this is telling you that, I mean, if it's severe, then you may need help with that. But if it's just sort of a kind of a little neurotic, little low background noise, you need to know that you are safe, and you are safe. And the feeling is like you can feel safe in any situation. And I'm not sure how that is. It's getting stuck in my throat. It must be serious. Um, Grounding, breathing, centering, that sort of thing. And I always recommend therapy. Okay. If you chose card number 2, blessed change, a major life change brings you great blessings. Okay. Just face value of this card. Change is often difficult and unpleasant, and we generally don't like it. Now, if the change is you got a new car, then it may not hurt, except, oh, now you've taken on a car payment. I'm a little bit scared of that. So change can feel scary or unpleasant or unwanted on the front. But then after you do it, then you may realize that the change was really good. And so that's what this card is about. So let me see if I can figure what the blessed change is. I am feeling like this is a big pivot for you personally. And so if you're feeling like doing something really different, then this is sort of your go ahead, you're okay to say, yeah, it's scary, but do it. It brings you great blessings. Yeah, it's a personal pivot of some sort. It could be in your work, it could be in your diet, it could be in your relationships, or a relationship. So whatever that big pivot you've been kind of thinking of, feeling the tug on, it's a good thing. Okay. If you chose card number 3, this is your card. Let yourself receive. Allow others to give you loving care and receive without guilt or apologies. Okay. So face value on this card is that receiving is paramount for you to have things to receive. And maybe that doesn't make sense to you, because if you're not receiving anything, how can you receive? All right. So that's why receiving needs to become active for you. Start with receiving from yourself. Start with saying, thank you for a compliment. Thank you for holding the door out for me. Thank you for offering to bring in my groceries. Whatever those little things are, say, yes, thank you, instead of this whole thing, or oh, no, it's okay, I've got it. So we're really bad at it, especially as women. We're very bad at it because we've been taught not to be greedy. We've been taught to be of service and to be, humble. And so when somebody says, oh, you look beautiful, I love your hair. Oh, gosh, I need a haircut so bad. I didn't even wash it today. Well, that's just bullshit, because if I give you a compliment like that and you do that, then the compliment just falls on the floor, and we're both awkward, and you don't feel good and I don't feel good. But if I give you the compliment and you go, oh, thank you. Wow, I really need to hear that. Thanks. I feel great. I've done something for you. And you feel good because you have said, yes, I like this stranger's or friend's comment and compliment, and I've accepted it and received it. Okay. So that's what that's about. Okay. Again, that's a face value kind of a thing. So this pertains really to your attitude about receiving money and material things and gifts in particular. So if it's yes, so if you have a business, raise your prices. If you have, if somebody offers you a gift, say yes. You know, if it really feels like money and material things specifically. So think about receiving that. You can even give money to yourself. Go buy yourself something. Buy yourself a gift card, or go get yourself a Starbucks, or buy a new pair of boots. Treat yourself in some way and actively receive that from you, and know that that is receiving from all that is the universe. It's a receiving. And so what happens is your Bruniverse, your brain and the universe, recognize receiving and provide more for you to receive. You see how that works? A little tricky, little manifestation thing. Okay, excellent, excellent. Candy, anything else? Okay, well, I will see you later today, dear. And thank you everyone for tuning in. As always, tune in next week for Channel Wednesday, and I will see you then. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.